It's like, sometimes my stupidity, like, blows my mind. Like, it's amazing. Alright, so this is the story about my time on a Greek island. Mike, for the last story time with the Brothers Murph, Mike talked about his time on a Greek island where he thought he was on one Greek island. Turns out he wasn't. Turns out he's on a totally different one. It was a nice, like, fun, wholesome thing. And so mine starts that way and then ends totally different. Because mine ends with me, like, probably getting way too close to being arrested. And you don't want to get arrested in Greece. So when I went to Greece, we spent, I think, 1.5 days in Athens, and we saw everything. We saw, like, you know, all the ruins and everything like that, the big new museum that was there, and all that kind of stuff. And then we spent the rest of the time, almost a week, in Santorini. Santorini is one of the islands of Greece and is where the game Santorini is based. Very stereotypically Greek, like the white, you know, stucco buildings with like the blue domes. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. So we ended up going to Santorini and we ended up staying at this one place, this one hotel, which was really, really cool because how a lot of Greek islands work, but particularly with Santorini, is everyone gets around on either like scooters, like Vespas and stuff, or on like quads, like four-wheelers. So we're really excited because basically what everyone does when they tour there is they just rent one of these scooters or a four-wheeler. There's places all over the place that rent them, and then they rent them, and then that's how you can get around the island, because the island is small enough where you can get from like one tip, because the island of Santorini is like a big crescent. It's like one big crescent. I think it's probably a volcano at some point, but it's a big old crescent, and you can get from like one tip of the crescent to the other tip of the crescent on like a four-wheeler in like 45 minutes. So you can get all over the island wherever you want on a four-wheeler. It's great. There's not that many cars there as a whole, some buses, but almost everyone gets around like this. At least that was true when we were there. So the place we were staying was great because they rented scooters and four-wheelers. The place, the hotel itself rented them, which was great because one, they were way better quality than like a lot of the other places that rented them, and then two, I think it was like a discounted price, or at least we could add it as like part of the package of us staying there. So we stayed at this place. It was up on a hill. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous, but there's nothing really that special about the hotel other than the fact that we got our quads there, and it was awesome. So we only got one. It was me and my friend Natalie, is who I went through Europe with, one of my best friends, and the first thing we did, we bought big billowy white clothing. I bought a big billowy white shirt and she bought a big billowy white dress, and then we wore those every day because, and so it was cool though, because we were like riding on like quads at like sunset, just like going on these big ridges over these like mountains and stuff. And I always drove and she always sat behind me because she didn't really like driving it, and her dress would just like flow behind it, and my big shirt would be like just like that, and we'd be sitting there like this, just all majestic and stuff. It was awesome. It was beautiful. It was great. And Santorini was great. Great food. I mean, beautiful beaches. I mean, just the Mediterranean is so gorgeous. It's just so beautiful and so clear. Like the water in the Mediterranean is so clear. So we found some great places to go cliff jumping. We ended up, us and two friends who it was 3 friends, but 2 went cliff jumping with us. We met these people, Autumn, Vinny, and Ro. They were all from New York, and they were all going to NYU, and they decided to go on a vacation to Greece together, the 3 of them, and they were just amazing, just 3 amazing people. So we ended up hanging out with them and spent a lot of our time with her. There's still one of my favorite pictures, this picture right here, which is one of my favorite pictures ever. And it's us sitting on a cliff watching the sunset in Greece with our friends that we met. And it was just picturesque, you know, just everything's a postcard is how I always say it. Like, oh, look, that could be on a postcard. Look there. that could be on a postcard. That's how everything in Santorini is. It's amazing. So going back to what we're talking about cliff jumping and how clear the water is. At one point, Autumn, she didn't go with us. She was just hanging out on the beach. She didn't really feel like swimming. But we were like, let's swim around and go try and find this this black sand beach. Because we couldn't get there on our quads. We couldn't find the way to get there. But we knew where we were, there was like this big jutting out like cliff thing. And we knew the black sand beach was right over here. So we were like, okay, so we're just gonna go swim around this like big cliff. Thinking like, that's not that far. It was way farther than we thought. So we end up getting all the way out there and we get to like the end of this cliff and then we get around this cliff and then we look and we see the beach is like a mile down the way. We're like, we are not gonna swim there because wherever we go, we're gonna have to swim back. So we ended up, we wanted to go cliff jumping, so right where this cliff was, we were like, oh, let's see if we can kind of like climb up on these rocks and jump off and go cliff jumping. So we ended up climbing up with this, found this path, this like really weird path that went up to like this ledge that was like 60 feet up. And we were like, oh Lord, we should jump off this. And so we wanted to jump off it, but the problem was that the problem with how clear the water looked is you look off the cliff, you look down in the water, the Mediterranean, and it looks like the bottom of the sea is like 10 feet down. And you're like, I'm about to jump a 60-foot cliff. I need to know that that water is more than like 5 feet deep. And so we were all, you know, when we were swimming, because we had to swim around here and then we went up the cliff like this. So we had swam past the spot we were going to jump into. And we all had like goggles, like big scuba goggles on. So we were all like trying to debate. We're like, because we had hiked up this cliff. We didn't feel like hiking back down. So we were like, it was deep, right? Like when we swam by, it was deep, right? Like it wasn't like 5 feet deep. It was like 40 feet deep, right? And we're kind of like, I think so. But man, it doesn't look 40 feet deep. It looks 5 feet deep, and it's gonna suck if that's 5 feet deep. And while we were debating, I don't know what came over me, but eventually I was like, screw it. I just went and ran and just jump off the cliff. And my friend Natalie just goes, oh my God! And I jumped, and it was one of those things where we talked about it afterwards, because we all ended up doing it like 2 or 3 times. I was fine, by the way. I went fine. So that was fun. And we ended up jumping off that a few times. And Natalie jumped and landed. When she landed on one, she landed like a little bit back. Like she didn't land straight down. Everyone landed fine, but this one she landed a teeny bit back, and the pressure of the water hit her right on her tailbone. And we found out like months later, she actually broke her tailbone. When she hit the water just went like boom, boom, and hit her right in the tailbone. I mean, you know when you fall into water, it can feel like cement. It was like that, but straight on her tailbone. And she actually passed out for a second. And then passed out for a second, and then came back up and swam to shore, and she was fine. But it meant riding on the ATV was not nearly as fun for her the rest of the time, because it's kind of bumpy on the roads of Santorini, and it was just agony for her tailbone. We found out afterwards when we came back to America that she actually broke her tailbone. So don't jump off cliffs. But then one more thing about the cliffs, which was really weird, is at the very bottom of the sea, right where we were jumping off the cliffs, there was a lawn chair. Like one of those like ones where you like lay out, like big white plastic ones that are like beside pools, you know, where the back can go back like that and stuff. One of those was at the bottom of the sea right there, right where we were jumping off. So when we were sitting there afterwards, we were like, this is weird. Like, why is one down there? We figured there's lots of boats that go around there. We figured someone just threw it off a boat when they were drunk and hammered someday. So there was this chair down there. And I got this weird thing where I was just like, I'm gonna go get it. I'm gonna go get it, and I'm gonna put it on top of that cliff. And so I swam down, which is really hard to do because you're very buoyant in the Mediterranean Sea because there's tons of salt. So it's actually really, really hard to like dive down in the Mediterranean Sea because you're so buoyant. It's really nice because you just sit there and float around like, oh, this is cool because there's so much salt. So I end up diving down. I finally get a big enough breath and push down far enough where I can grab it. And then I just spend like a terrifying like 45 seconds trying to like swim it up, even though it's trying to constantly drag me back down. And I finally get it to the top and I drag it over. And then the 4 of us climb and pull this thing up on top of this like 60-foot cliff. And then we all jump off and then go and then end up swimming back and go back to the shore. And I just hope that somebody someday goes to the top of that same cliff and finds that chair there and just goes, who the hell put a chair up here? And someday I'm gonna go back to Santorini. I'm gonna swim to that damn cliff, and I'm gonna go up there and see if that chair is still there. And God, I hope so. If you're going to Santorini, go look for that chair. It's on top of a cliff somewhere. Find it. So now the rest of the trip in Santorini was amazing. It was just like the game. There was gods rolling around and jumping on top of buildings and stuff. It was beautiful, and just some of my most fond memories are just me and Natalie on the ATV just driving around. Just driving around, talking, chatting, talking about how wonderful it was, and yeah, just going around, hanging out with Vinny, Roe, and Autumn in the ATVs was great. Even when like their ATV like broke down and didn't have any lights, and so they had to essentially push it down this cliff. It was just wild. It was great. But we'll get to the end of the trip, which wasn't so great. So okay, so this is where like I honestly think if we were not leaving in the next like half hour, I think they would have called the cops on us. Or me, rather, not so much Natalie, just me. And again, it's all because of like my stupidity. Sometimes I just do the dumbest stuff, and it's super annoying. But basically, throughout Europe, I had a fake wallet. So I had a wallet that I had found in our front yard. Someone, I guess, had stole this wallet, taken all the stuff out of it, and thrown it for some reason on our lawn. They were probably just driving by and threw it out the window. So we ended up finding it, and it turns out the wallet was somebody I knew, this guy named David. And because it had his license in it still. So I was just like, oh, cool, like I actually know this guy. I can get in contact with him, I can get his wallet back, that's great. There's nothing else in this wallet, so I don't know if there's anything of value. It's mostly just his license. I think like an expired like Jamba Juice card or something like that. And then that was it. And that was it. So I ended up hitting him up, and he goes like, hey man, thanks so much, but like I already got a new wallet, I already got a new license and everything like that. Just toss it. Like you know, cut up the cards, just toss it. So we were like, okay, so I was gonna do that. And so I was about to do that. I was about to leave for Europe in like a week, and my stepdad at the time said, no, keep it. And I was like, why? And he's like, you should have a fake wallet when you go traveling like this. He's like, what? So what we did is we took the wallet, we kept the ID in there, because the ID was, you know, bunk, it didn't matter anymore. And we, Juan Carlos, who's my stepdad, put in like a couple expired like credit cards. We put in a couple, you know, just again, random cards essentially, none of which worth anything. And then we put like $20 American money in it. And this was just so like if you know, in traveling, there's so much pickpocketing, especially at really big touristy locations. But no, there's a lot of pickpocketing. So it's one of those things where it's like you have a wallet in your pocket and they pickpocket that, they're not actually getting anything. Or for God forbid, if someone like held us up with like a gun or a knife and like robbed us, we just be like, here man, take this, and like give them that. They'd probably look in, see credit cards, see the money, and go, okay, and boom, and bounce, and they don't actually get anything of value. They don't get my passport, because my passport is like, you know, underneath my clothes, right around here, you know, where yours are supposed to have it. So I had a fake wallet, and we kept it with us. I never needed to use it. It never got stolen, but it was cool to have it. I think it's a really good thing to do if you're traveling a lot, especially in places where pickpocketing is a big deal, or if you're going somewhere kind of dangerous. And so I had this fake wallet. So when we were about to leave, we had already checked out of our hotel, and the hotel was run by a mother, like a matriarch of the family, and then her son were the two people who like ran the hotel. And so, and her son had like a van, and he would go pick people up from the harbor, because again, Santorini, where the ferries come in to drop people off in Santorini, is like down here, and there's like this big winding road, and then all the stuff is up here. So he has a van that he goes, picks up people who are staying at his hotel, and he drops them back off at the ferry harbor, which is very nice of him. So we were getting ready to leave with him and stuff like that. We were leaving about a half hour. We already checked out of our room, and I guess the mom had gone through to clean it. She cleaned it, and she came back, and she goes like, hey, I found your wallet. This is yours. And like, it happened to be the fake wallet. It wasn't my actual one that was on me, and it's always on me. It was my fake one. It was the wallet with my friend's ID in it. And she goes, here, she says, this is yours, right? And she speaks very, very little English. Her son speaks a little bit more, but neither of them speak much English. She goes, this is yours, right? Here's what you should do. I should have gone, yeah, that's mine, and taken it, and then just left. That's what a smart person would have done. That's what a non-Nick person would have done. But I didn't do that. what I did instead, for some reason, I go, oh yeah, well no, it's not mine, but yeah, it's mine. And I reach out to grab it, and when I reach out to grab it, she goes, this isn't yours? And I was like, no, I mean, yes, it's mine, but like, it's not. But it's mine though, it's mine. And she goes like, what do you mean it's not yours? And then she opens it up, pulls out the ID and sees that it's not me. Like, the other guy on there is like another white dude, but he doesn't look anything like me. So she sees it, she goes, who is this? Again, in very, very broken English. And so then I proceed to try and explain. I decide to try and explain the concept of a fake wallet to people that don't really speak English. I then go through and start trying to be like, no, it's like a fake wallet. And they're like, but this is a real ID. Who is this? And I'm like, no. Like, I know him. You don't know him. But then they're like, you need to give this to the police. Someone is looking for their wallet. And I'm like, no, he's not. I assure you, he's not looking for his wallet. He's in California. You know, California? Like, the OC, like, California. That, like, he's there. He's not here. And they're like, you need to go to the police now. You need to turn this in. Someone needs their wallet. They're not going to be able to, like they thought it was another tourist. And I was just trying desperately to explain to them what a fake wallet is and why one would have a fake wallet and what one would do with a fake wallet. And they did not get it. They did not understand. And every word that I spoke made them more suspicious and made them trust me and Natalie, but mostly me, less and less. And every single time I try to, it just makes it worse. And everything I'm saying is making it worse. And then I do probably the worst part of it, where I literally just go, look, don't worry about it. And I just grab the wallet and just walk away. Because I didn't know what to do. I had no idea what to do. And so I just walked away, essentially stole this wallet back, walked away. And they thought I had stolen somebody's wallet and that I was holding on to it, and I was like refusing to go to the cops. And I honestly think that if we were not about to leave, like we were literally leaving in like 5 or 10 minutes, we were waiting for her son to drive us to the harbor. If we were not about to leave, I think they would have called the cops. I think they would have tried to alert some kind of authorities to try and get me to give this wallet back. And literally, like, we're waiting outside for the next like 20 minutes, and we're just like, what is going on? And I'm just like, why did I not just be like, yeah, it's mine? Like, she hadn't looked at it. She hadn't looked into it and saw that it's not me. I couldn't be like, yeah, thanks so much. I appreciate it. And no, I didn't do that at all. And like, literally, like they had inside, she was like inside the house, and she was like literally looking at us through the blinds, like dead serious, staring at us through the blinds, and they would go and they'd do something else, and somewhere else we'd see her go, you know, just, and then just look at us and stare at us for a while, and she'd go back down and go back, and then the son on the way back to the harbor, who was usually very jovial, very talkative and stuff like that, didn't say anything to us. He was just like, and then we got off and then we left. But that was my time on Santorini. It was beautiful and majestic and wonderful, and it's just picturesque and amazing, and the most beautiful sunsets. And then it ended in just the worst way. That was so just insane and just so, oh my gosh, I just don't know. Sometimes I just do the dumbest stuff. There's gonna be other stories about me just making the stupidest decisions. And this was one of them. So that was my trip to Santorini. It was amazing. Go there if you can. Play Santorini in Santorini. It was amazing. And so, yeah, thanks for joining me. That was my time in Santorini. Ciao! Thank you so much for watching that video. If you like this story, please like and share this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We want to do more and more of these stories. Really enjoy telling them. They're just a good time and overall a good thing to do. If there's anything you want us to tell stories about, like, you know, I don't know, whatever, let us know, as long as it's appropriate. And if you're a gamer like us, you can see all these games are here behind us. Consider checking out Game Toppers LLC, GameToppersLLC.com, which is a great way to upgrade your gaming experience. It's wonderful. This is one of the few videos that doesn't have our Game Topper in it, but Game Toppers are just outstanding. And also make sure to check out Restoration Games, and if you like what we do, consider supporting us on Patreon. And I think that's it. That's my plug. Self-promotion, done. More stories. Tell us your stories. I love stories. They're just the best. All right. Bye, everybody.